Hi, my name is Summer and I work at the Chattahoochee Nature Center, and I'm really excited to get to take you guys on a little field trip today. Before we start, I want to ask you if you would look out your window or out your door and just use your eyes and your ears and think about maybe 3 things that you can see or hear. Does anyone see grass or plants? How about trees? There are lots of trees around me. If you're really lucky, you might see a bird. Thumbs up if you see a bird. All right, well, that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. One of my favorite things in the late winter and springtime is to look for birds. And I like this time of year because there are no leaves on the trees, as you can tell. And it's really easy to see animals and their habitats. So we're going to talk today about 3 of my favorite birds. And the first one is the northern cardinal. Thumbs up if you've ever seen a red bird. They're pretty easy to spot because of their bright red feathers, right? Well, the northern cardinal comes in 2 shades, actually. One is a bright red, and you really can't miss him because you don't see a lot of red just normally in nature. So you might see those sitting on a fence post or around your house or in a tree or in your grass, and they're really loud. They have a beautiful song. The other bird that I wanted to talk to you about is the female cardinal. And she also has red feathers, but she has some brown and gray feathers that kind of make her more camouflaged. Now, why do you think she might need to be camouflaged? If you said to be safe from predators, you are exactly right. So as she's sitting on her nest with her eggs and then her babies, she doesn't want those bright red feathers to draw attention to her. So she has some brown mixed in with her red feathers, and she kind of blends into the bush or the tree that she's nesting in. There's a really cool nest just up here, and it's probably a little big for a cardinal nest, but they're made from sticks and all sorts of things that the birds find in nature, and then they line them with really soft things like moss or animal fur or feathers or things like that. So as you're looking out, especially during this time of year, I hope that you'll get to notice and see some red cardinals and also some nests. If you have a place where you can feed the cardinals, you might can get a really close-up look. So this is a special feeder that the cardinals like, and they like seeds, like sunflower seeds, and they like nuts. They like the bigger pieces that they can get in their beaks. And sometimes if you put this in your yard or in a tree in your yard, you might be able to see them land in this platform feeder, and it's got a nice place right here to keep them dry when it rains and safe from predators. But you can get an up-close look. They're really fun to watch, and they have a great song. The second bird I wanted to talk to you guys about is the Red Bellied Woodpecker. And these guys are so cool. They're a lot easier to find by hearing than by seeing them. So take a listen to their call so that you'll recognize it next time you're outside. All right, so if you were fortunate enough to see a red-bellied woodpecker, you'll know because they have beautiful white and black stripes of feathers that are really thin and delicate on their backs and on their wings. And the cool part is they have some red feathers just like the cardinal. The males have a little red patch of feathers going from the nape of his neck up all the way over the crown of his head. And the female has a little red patch of feathers going from the nape of her neck just all the way up to the back of her head. Hers doesn't go on top. And if you ever get to see them, you might actually see them on a tree very much like this. This tree is called a snag. And if you look up, you can tell there are no branches. and no leaves, no limbs. It looks like just a plain trunk stuck in the ground. And you can also tell that it's not living because it's lost most of its bark. The last thing, and this is my favorite, you can tell it's not living because it sounds different than a live tree. Take a listen. And when you hear a woodpecker making that tapping sound on the tree, he's probably looking for something to eat, or maybe he's even excavating a nest. This snag is really important because you can see where a woodpecker has started trying to excavate maybe a nest for himself and his family. Usually they're up a little bit higher, but he didn't quite finish this project. But they like to live inside of the tree. So this is what an up-close view of a woodpecker nest might look like. You can see, here's our little woodpecker coming out and maybe going in. And this is a close-up view of the hole that was in the very top of this tree. But since we can't shimmy up the tree and see it up close, I thought you would enjoy seeing this. But this is where the woodpecker would lay her eggs and feed her babies as they hatch, and eventually they would take off out of this nest. If you're not fortunate enough to have a snag in your backyard, which would be a woodpecker's natural habitat, sometimes you can attract them to your backyard by making something called suet. And I have some right here. It's in cake form, and it's really soft and moist, and it almost feels like wet wood. It smells a lot like peanut butter. And you can put this in a suet cage if you have one, and then hang it in a tree, and the woodpeckers can come up and peck through these holes to get the suet. If you don't have a suet cage, you can also use something that you might have at home, like this. We had some oranges in this bag, and this is perfect to put the suet in and hang from a tree, and then the woodpecker can come and get it out of these holes. The other bird I wanted to talk to you about, besides the cardinal and the red bellied woodpecker, is the American crow. Now, I know you guys have seen these birds. They are very large and they're black, and they are the life of the party. When they're around, you know it because they're so loud and raucous. Take a listen to their sound. So if you can't hear them by their sound, you'll definitely be able to see them. They normally travel in pairs, but usually even in larger groups. And something so interesting about the crow is that its nest is usually very secretive. It hides it in a pine tree or an evergreen tree so that it's not super visible in the wintertime. At the Nature Center, we have really interesting biofacts, or parts of nature that we're allowed to have because we can use it to teach people about it. So if I wanted to show you a crow's nest or a crow's egg, I wouldn't be able to go out in the wild and just grab one. But this is a very beautiful example of a crow's egg, and the baby crow has already hatched out of this. So notice it's really a pretty pale blue color, and it's got olive speckles on it. Another interesting fact about the crow is their bills are black and their feet are black. And you can notice in this picture, their eyes are even black. Something else very interesting about the crow is that they live in family groups. The mama and daddy crow will have a set of babies, and they will raise those babies, and those babies will stick around for almost 5 years. And during that time, they will help make repairs to the nest. They will help feed the mama while she's sitting on her eggs, and they will also help raise the baby crows. So they take care of their younger brothers and sisters. So this is the last bird I hope that you'll get a chance to see in the wild. This is a broad-winged hawk, and she is about the same size as the crow that we just talked about. And something really interesting about her is more than likely you won't see her in your yard or in a tree, but you may see her flying around in the sky. These birds like to migrate. Thumbs up if you know what migrate means. That's right. It means they fly south for the winter. They like warmer temperatures. So sometimes in the late fall, early winter, you might see a bunch of these birds up in the air, and they'll be in a big group, and it's called a kettle because it almost looks like you're stirring a pot, a big cauldron or a kettle of soup in the sky. And then in the spring, they'll migrate back up to Georgia because they like the weather. So I wanted to show you her talons because they're super important to her. She actually likes to eat insects. And one of the things that her talons help her do is she can actually grab insects and catch them. And then her beak is nice and sharp. I don't know if you can see. Oh, she's giving you a profile. It's a nice curved beak, and that's good for tearing her prey apart. So she is one of the smallest hawks here in Georgia, and she's just beautiful. So next time you're outside, if you see a bunch of birds swirling in the sky like a kettle, it might just be the broad-winged hawk. Some of you may be wondering why I'm holding this hawk. She actually came here to live with us at the Chattahoochee Nature Center many years ago because she was hit by a car, and it actually blinded her in one of her eyes. You can tell that she's turning her head quite a bit in order to see her surroundings and make sure nothing dangerous is coming up over her shoulder. But she is a beautiful girl, and she gets to live here with us for the rest of her life. Sadly, that does mean she's not able to migrate with her kettle, but she stays happy here, and we take great care of her and feed her. So when you get to come and visit us, you can keep an eye out for her because she'll probably be right here on the grounds somewhere. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you guys today, and we really hope that as you get out and explore nature and discover some birds in your own backyard, that you'll come on over and visit our backyard here at Chattahoochee Nature Center and come visit us and see this beautiful creature, the broad-winged hawk. Hope to see you soon.